episode I'm supposed to be volunteering at school. But where are all the children? Oh, here they are. Welcome back to Brainrotting. In the last episode, you left me enjoying Christmas in the beautiful colonial town of Antigua in Guatemala. Well, I eventually left Antigua with the promise to return later on in the new year. And I set off on what turned out to be a long day's ride over the mountains to Lankin, a town situated next to Julie Chappell. By now my motorcycle was running on fumes, so I was mighty glad to be able to refuel at the local gas station. And this is the reason for my journey into the Guatemalan mountains. Julie Chappell is a beautiful series of small ponds and pools on a natural land bridge that crosses the Cajon River. But I'd planned to spend my new year back on the beach in Mexico. So whilst those of you in the Northern Hemisphere were battling against the snow, I too was spending my time in white powder on this beautiful Caribbean beach. Well, there's not much to do here, except for paddling the warm seas, drink a nice refreshing glass of rum and, well, go fishing. It's got a bit of a smell to it, hasn't it?
What's the matter?
Tony!
What now?
Tony! I lost my cheeks!
What's the matter? What happened to your cheeks?
I lost my cheeks, Tony!
What happened to your fillets?
Somebody cut them off! Somebody cut off my cheeks!
Who took your cheeks?
Tony!
And my next stop was Merida, where fellow BMW bikers Jorge and Alvaro made me feel more than at home. Alvaro took me out into the Yucatan countryside to visit a cenote. So, what does 1 horsepower buy you in Mexico? The answer? Not very much. Whilst Jorge gave my motorcycle a free service. Jorge, is there much brake fluid?
As you can see, it's really bad liquid, and you don't have a lot, so yeah.
Is that's all that is there?
That's all liquid you have for your brake, for a brake. So,
and that's not good.
That's not good.
So I returned to Antigua, still reasonably unaware of the brutal reality of life for people in many of the surrounding hills. And this is what the British ambassador to Guatemala, Julie Chappell, has to say about the situation.
And I, to be honest, had always thought Antigua was quite a rich place. It's the tourist capital of Guatemala. It's very beautiful. And I hadn't appreciated all the time I was driving around that if you look up into the hills that surround it, there are these little sort of shanty towns built in, and I hadn't appreciated the poverty. Guatemala has the 4th highest rate of child malnutrition in the world. So you have the very, very, very rich and the very, very poor living very close together. The UN says that Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador as a region is the most violent region in the world that's not actually at war.
But I'd agreed to volunteer at a local school for completely the wrong reasons. It was Christmas, I was drunk and the girl was cute. Well, she asked me if I'd like to volunteer at the school she works at, so I'm here. I've got no idea what use I can be, but I'm about to find out. Well, it didn't take me long to realise that the school project here in Jocotenango is something really quite special.
Parents need to be encouraged to send their children to school. A lot of the parents didn't go to school, a lot of the parents can't read or write. Helping them to understand the importance of education is actually quite difficult. They worry a lot of the time about where they're going to get their next meal from. They're given a snack and a lunch every day they're here, which for many of them is the only meal they'll get that day.
All the children here sit down quietly for lunch, and by the time they've finished, you won't find a mouthful left on any of their plates.
Every child is given a toothbrush and toothpaste, and we get them to clean their teeth at school every morning. Lots of children when they start here have hard teeth, so we're trying to teach them that they should be brushing their teeth every day.
All the children join in washing up after lunch, and they take pride in their school, cleaning it up at the end of each day.
Last year, for the first time, we were given a donation of reading books, so we decided that we needed to make a library this year. We've got a small room with some comfy chairs, and every lunchtime it's packed full of children. I think the library is really important. It's the only place they've got to go and read. Most of these children, if not all of these children, don't have books at home.
El vientre estaba el bombero del.
And these children aren't just passionate about reading, they love their music lessons.
And I'm the teacher of this class. I'd like to tell you that students in the class have never been to school before. Some of them don't even know how to hold a pencil. But now they know their vowels and they can read words with the consonants N, P, S, L, T, D and N. This is a great pleasure for me to be able to share the children's progress with you. On behalf of all the children in my class, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity that you've given them to study. And thank you, John, for being our ambassador and for the important support that you give the school.
Well, I thought I'd join in with the teaching too. I gave some of the older students an English lesson. I explained some of the things I'd learnt about their country, Guatemala, as well as sharing with them what life is like for us back in the UK.
Psychologist for the first time about 3 years ago when it became obvious that a lot of children had psychological problems. There were lots of problems with alcoholism here. There were mothers of the children here who were prostitutes.
So upon entry to the school, all the children undergo a psychological test with our school psychologist Rosie. Rosie just assesses their needs, and all of the children that require some sort of additional support Rosie sees on a weekly basis. We've got a dedicated psychology room. It's a really nice, quiet room in the corner of the school, and that's where Rosie sees the children. And the aim is to see the children for as long as it takes for them to improve and feel better in themselves. We're talking about ranging from mild depression and low self-esteem to sort of more serious cases of sexual abuse and physical maltreatment. The work that Rosie does is quite interesting. She has like a variety of approaches to work with the children. One of the main things she does is sort of play therapy. We've got a whole variety of toys in there, from sort of board games to dolls. Rosie was explaining to me that the children come into the room and she lets them sit down at the table and choose a toy that they'd like to play with. And this not only relaxes them, but it often can reveal information about their home life and the sort of troubles that they're facing.
Safe House was built in 2008 when it became apparent that we needed somewhere for several children who were studying at our project. The first were a family of 3. They didn't have a father, it was a single parent family, and their mother became really sick because she'd been exposed to the toxic fumes from the traditional wood stoves. She died of lung disease, sadly, and the children were left without a parent to look after them. There was a little boy who was diagnosed with leukemia. The family were also living in a house with a mud floor. We also decided to move that family into our safe house as well, so that he had somewhere clean and safe to recover. For every student that starts here, we go around to their house to see their living conditions and to assess whether they are from the poorest section of the community and whether or not they should be coming to our school.
So this is where Lester and his family used to live, and they've been in a hostel since, because of all the floods and everything that happened in the summer. This has just been kind of designated a place that is too dangerous to live now. So they've been moved to a hostel, but unfortunately the government is now saying that they cannot keep them in a hostel, they need to find a new place to live. So it looks like the only place they have to come back to is here, but it's not a safe place to be living at all. So.
And then we went to visit the family of Elizabeth, one of the children that myself and my parents will be sponsoring. ¿Qué es el problema? ¿Estás cansada? It's certainly an eye-opener. About 30 minutes walk away from the school up on the hillside, I've come to the house of Elizabeth and her mother, which she shares with two sisters and a newborn baby brother. A few months ago, I think 4 months ago, they had a new house built. Before that, they were just living on the earth here with a roof over their head. Now, thanks to another charity project, they've actually built a two-roomed house. Yeah, this is only a short distance away from Antigua, but it's worlds apart.
Every year we need to raise about £250,000 to keep this project running. And at the moment we get about 1/3 of that money from individual child sponsors. So that's people that sign up to give £25 a month, which covers the complete costs of one child's education. With that money they're fed, they've got their place in their classroom, it pays for some of the teachers' wages, it pays for some of their school books. We've got 4 empty classrooms that we can only fill if we find child sponsors. We don't want to take those children on without having secure funds. We don't want to have to turn children away halfway through the year if we can't continue to pay for them. We've got the ideal surroundings, we've got a fantastic building, we've got a well set up project. We just need to find the money to be able to take on more children.
And to conclude, I think it's best that I hand back over to Julie Chappell, the British ambassador here in Guatemala.
For the local community, it's a bit of a dream, really, because for many of them, the education that they might otherwise have had wouldn't be of the same quality, but for many of them, they might not have even had this opportunity. Lovely, many of the children here would normally go into working in the market, but nothing wrong with that. But when you have got an education, it enables you to look much, much broader than that and to think about what you want to do. And particularly with some of the girls here, they've never had that kind of belief and opportunity. And so I think for the community here, it really is quite groundbreaking.
So that's pretty sobering stuff. But where are all those loyal brain-rotting followers I've met on the road?
Hi, I'm Jim.
I'm Shelley.
I'm Guppy.
I'm Jim.
I'm Shelley.
I'm Rick.
And I'm Denise, and this is from our secret beach in Mexico.
And we all follow Brainrotting.
We invited Graham to Paradise to play strip poker, and I'm all in.
Well, I'm all in.
I'm all in.
I'm all in.
Yeah.
So let's see if between us we can raise enough money to feed and educate an entire classroom of children for a year. And if you want me to keep my clothes on in the future, just mark your donation TOTM. If that tally reaches £1,000, I'll bring back Toilet of the Month.